self-focused so then we can all eat dinner. Otherwise, we'll be here.
I have one request.
Yes.
She goes next.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate Mr. Lee because he doesn't get angry at us when we laugh in class or launch a pencil. And he's really nice and he doesn't and he's not strict and he's really fun to be around.
I appreciate Mr. Lee because he lets us do things that normal teachers wouldn't let us do.
Okay, Jalen, do you know Mr. Lee?
Oh yeah, I appreciate Mr. Lee for being my basketball coach this year. And
Cool.
Yes,
My
please.
next, I appreciate Mr. Lee for being so positive and just being just such a wonderful, just all around wonderful teacher. So,
Okay. Do you want to say anything? Okay, we'll come back to you if something comes to you. Well, I'll speak a little bit on behalf of Finn because I think what Finn might have said is that Mr. Lee helped open my eyes to a whole lot of things that I was super, super interested in and allowed me to understand things that are going on in the world that I just didn't have a way to think about. And I'll kind of flash to the me part of it. I think in particular the way that you engage the kids in the fall, not only in the unit around the Black Panthers and then and other related topics, but when all of the stuff started to go, well, didn't start to go down, but the rest of the country heard about police violence in a different kind of way. The students in 4th grade just had this incredible schema for understanding it, talking about it, understanding historical stuff related to it. And I don't know, every single other parent I've talked to about that, their eyes get wide and they're like, oh my God, that happens at that school? That is amazing, amazing. And there's plenty of adults that I know, because I work in the field of education, adults who don't quite know how to bring language to that and engage, their classrooms in that. So I don't know. That's just like an example, but it just speaks to the spirit of how you teach and how you show up with the kids and what you're opening for them. So blessings and thank you. Yeah. Mine was really long. Yeah. I was speaking for all of us.
I appreciate Mr. Lee because he's not really strict and he and he doesn't get really upset when somebody does something wrong and I feel he's a really good teacher.
I appreciate Mr. Lee because he's always positive and he's fun to be around.
I appreciate Mr. Lee because he's awesome.
I appreciate Mr. Lee because, whenever I see him, he always gives me a warm
Yes, also, I appreciate Mr. Lee because he's very creative. I really enjoy hearing about all the projects you guys are working on. And one day I went into Mr. Lee's class. I was taking a teacher from another school on a tour, and she was so interested in what was going on at St. Paul's, and you sat with her for a while, and I don't know if you remember, talked to her, and she was so psyched. I couldn't believe she wanted to get her kids into that school that day. She was so thankful, and that was really, I really appreciated that.
And I appreciate Mr. Lee because something's going on good in the classroom because Issa has come home this year very frequently and engaged in conversations without me prompting her, how was your day, what are you learning, what's this? She's excited about the topics, and then it hits a chord, it strikes a chord with me, similar to what Tom said. And we go down in the bookshelf in the basement where all these books are from college, and we start talking about the Black Panthers or World War II or whatever, and it's just, here we are discussing these big themes that help resonate for her. And there's no better foundation for her in her learning than getting excited about it. So my hat's off to you.
When we were looking for a school 3-4 years ago, we went to a different school and we saw Mr. Lee. And I remember just from the few minutes on the tour at that school, I was like, wow, what an amazing teacher. And we ended up going with St. Paul's. And then Mr. Lee came to St. Paul's. And I remember being so happy, and we remembered each other. And he just has this special light about him that it just draws people to him. And so I'm so glad that people like him become teachers, because it's a tough job, but it's very rewarding, and it's just amazing that our children have had you and all that you taught them, not just about the world, but about themselves and about relationships and culture. And it's been a wonderful year, and we really appreciate you.
I appreciate Mr. Lee just for, it's like magical qualities, I just don't know how he controls that class, and we have like some very good personalities, some very, positive, enthusiastic,
energetic
people. And I just don't know how you're able to handle all the core subjects and not be weak at all in them, right? Because often if you go to a school, you may say, oh, they're very good with the social justice issues, and we're talking about the Panthers, or we're talking about the dust storm, or whatever, but I'm not as happy with the math, you know what I mean? But everything is on point. And the conversations that I have with Leah, so Leah and I have like a special time, even Lauren too, we have a special time at pickup, right? So we have a longer commute, we live in Richmond, coming from Oakland, so we can kind of talk about how things are going on, And so Leah, when we were talking one day, we started talking about Tupac. I was like, oh, what do you know about Tupac? And so we started talking about that, and it's just great, and you were Leah's first male teacher. And so we were, talking through that, and so for you to just be that experience, give her that experience as her first male teacher, I really want to thank you for that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Lee for introducing me to a particular word. And this word encompasses positivity that Tina and Trey kind of mentioned, kind of this openness to new ideas, that anything's possible. And he uses it all the time, but it is so powerful. And that word is totally. All these things. Totally. Such a powerful word, and I really appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate Mr. Lee because he actually reminds me of a teacher that I had when I was growing up. And I had this teacher, and I had this particular teacher in more than one grade as I grew as a young boy. And that teacher had the same types of qualities that I see in you. The type of quality that can motivate you, the type of quality that can get you to do things that you don't want to do, the type of quality that can have you stretch your mind and stretch your way of thinking to convince you to do something that that individual believes that you're able to do, even though sometimes you don't necessarily believe it, but they somehow find a way to get you out of your comfort zone. And one of the things that he always told me was, when you're out of your comfort zone, know that that is your best opportunity to learn even more and do things that you don't even know you can do. And when you do those things, you can achieve almost anything that you want to, anything that you set your mind to. And one of the things that I really have a great appreciation for, and I saw this when I was in your classroom, where you get kids that come back to the classroom or back to the school, and the person that they want to see is Mr. Lee. They run to him, they hug him, hey, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee. when I saw that, it was like, gee, that reminds me of how it was for me when I was growing up with a teacher that I had a great appreciation for. So with that, and to top it all off, both my kids love me too. but really, thank you very much. I do appreciate what you've done for them.
I want to thank Mr. Lee because both of my children, he's been a basketball coach to Jalen and Sydney's teacher. I want to thank you for the passion that you bring to what you do. It shines through your spirit. It shines through everything about you. And I appreciate it so much. Because teaching is hard, being an educator, I think is very difficult. And I think for me, it is so wonderful to know that someone truly enjoys from the inside out what they're doing. And with you, Mr. Lee, I think resonates in all of our kids. And I am so thankful that Sydney and Jalen both have the opportunity to experience you.
Yeah. I am glad I got here for this appreciation circle because I so deeply appreciate the way that you've opened up the world to our kids in a way that enables them to get a sense of social justice and of the power that people can have when they come together and think about the kind of world they want to see, but aren't afraid to look at the world that actually is. And that's so hard to do, especially with this age, I think, but I feel like you've done it, you've modeled it for them, because it's how you live your life and how you do your own work. And some of the things that they've discussed in class have actually been things that I wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have thought were things that fourth graders could study, or could open their minds and hearts to. But I think it's because they've done it in such a beautiful way where you've created a community for them, where they're respectful of each other and they can hold different opinions and different ideas, and so they're not scared and they don't get reactionary and judgmental, even about things that are actually quite difficult. And I just think that they're going to carry that wisdom and that ability throughout the rest of their lives. And I know that they really, really love you and appreciate you now, but I think that you're one of those teachers that when they're in college, they'll be thinking about you. And, when they're grown-ups, they'll be thinking about you. So I'm very thankful.
I don't know if other parents know this, but Nicole's dad, who was a sports journalist, came to the class a couple months ago to talk about the moment that he was covering the Olympics in Mexico City in 1968. And, Tommy Smith and John Carlos on the stand. And, the class had this amazing discussion about it, because you were talking about writing. And what is it? How do you approach writing in a sense? And so his question for them is, well, would you have written about that moment for the sports, or would you have written about that moment for the politics, or which stance would you have taken on that? And the kids, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Giselle? Oh yeah. Anyway, it was a beautiful moment, and it meant a lot to us. I know.
Yeah,
so,
it really did. To my dad too.
And defend. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that. Yeah, it's great.
I really want to